But one
Yeah.
thing we support them on very fully is the right to hold a referendum. And currently, the Premier does have the power to, theoretical power, to call a referendum, but only in terms of national legislation, which does not exist. And so we're all in favor of having that national legislation tabled so that referenda can be held by provinces.
Please go check out rebelstoreZA.com. Their winter range is now available. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Joe Emilio Show. This is your real moment. Real moments are clips taken from a longer interview. That long interview can be found linked in the description below. And if you want to support the channel, there is a link in the description which will take you to my website where there are various ways and options for you to donate. Donating is not a must, but it's greatly appreciated. And also, subscribing is always free. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, your real moment is in. Would you say that you are a liberal?
Yes, absolutely, I am.
Okay, so you believe in obviously people's rights for freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of all that stuff.
I believe in
Basically,
individual freedom. Yes,
yes, individual freedom. Do you believe in sovereignty of the individual?
yes.
Okay,
Under the rule of law, yes.
under the rule of law, yeah. So there is a big debate at the moment about Cape independence or Western Cape independence. And in an interview, well, most of the interviews that I've asked you about this, you're not very keen on it. And I understand. I've also interviewed Natasha Mazzone. She gave me the same spiel. It's not South African. It's this, it's that. I really, to some extent, understand where that comes from. However, if you were in power now, would you grant Western Cape independence?
If we were in power now and people wanted Western Cape independence, then you would very carefully look at the constitutional mechanism to achieve it. It's a democratic process. There's a clause in the Constitution that enables that to happen if certain conditions are met. The trouble is those conditions will never be met while the ANC is the central government. So it makes sense if you want Western Cape independence to vote the ANC out of office first, because that's a critical component of that. Now, what we would do is decentralize power dramatically. We would decentralize public transport, for example, to the metros, and we would put the budget behind it to make it happen. Because you must remember that federal taxes have to fund all of these things as well. We would decentralize education. We would crucially decentralize the police to any sphere of government that had the capacity to run the police. Now, you obviously can't decentralized powers to a place that has absolutely zero capacity. And I can think of some provinces and some local authorities that don't have that capacity. But what one would want to do as a federalist party is to make sure that you decentralize real powers to the lowest effective level, where people could actually run them properly. And that at federal level, you're dealing with things like a federal budget, you're dealing with things like the army, you're dealing with things like international relations, home affairs, all of those sorts of things. But where actual service delivery functions are concerned, they should be decentralized where the capacity exists to deal with them, and it certainly exists in the Western Cape.
Yeah, it's a good answer. You made a fair point. I don't know. I think, like you mentioned in your book, like because of the situation that South Africa's in and people being upset with the ANC and then a bit of a fumble from the DA, all these other groups started to form, one of them being the Cape Independence Movement, and just people being upset with the current government that they're in and trying to find solutions to get out of it. And I think you have a very valid point when you say, you won't get it under ANC, but you might get it under DA. If it's something, and that's something I would actually like to know from some of these Western Cape independence supporters, is if the DA did come into power, would you still want Cape independence?
Well, they probably wouldn't, because you see, there are lots of disadvantages to having Western Cape independence. First of all, how are you going to protect your borders? They're going to be some of the longest borders ever on this continent, if you look at the borders of the Western Cape currently. And you're going to have to spend a lot of effort and a lot of energy and a lot of money doing that. Where are you going to get a tax base from? with the bulk of the economy in Gauteng still.
Hmm.
What are you going to do to get trade going when the first thing that the rest of the country is going to do is put excise duty onto all of your exports? I mean, there are lots of things to think about, very practical things to think about. So I would imagine that if the DA was running the country and running it properly, with fit for purpose people in the right places, there wouldn't be a need for that. And people would much prefer not to be spending millions protecting a border, but actually getting on with improving fundamental services like education, transport, policing, health, etc.
Fair points. Fair points. I'm not someone in the Western Cape movement, so I don't have the answers to those.
But one
Yeah.
thing we support them on very fully is the right to hold a referendum. And currently, the Premier does have the theoretical power to call a referendum, but only in terms of national legislation, which does not exist. And so we're all in favor of having that national legislation tabled so that referenda can be held by provinces.
Well, there you go. And that's fair. That is fair. That is very fair. It's more than the ANC would ever do, that's for sure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your real moment. Once again, a link to the full video is in the description below. And this is your second reminder to please subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like, it really goes far. And please share this video with people who you think may find this interesting. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.